Hello, Kyle.
Hello?
Oh, sorry, I will need to rejoin with my personal account since I used another project account. I will rejoin in 1 or 2 minutes. Okay.
Sounds good.
Hello, Kyle. Hi, Sylvia, Shui, Terry.
Yeah, hi,
Hello, everyone.
Sylvia Pigman and Terry.
Nice to meet you, Carl.
Hello?
Okay, let's wait for another 1 or 2 minutes for others to join us. I think as this week our KubeCon Chicago event, so we may miss some. We may miss some regular attendees like Andrew, Hardy, and other folks who will not be able to join us today since they are at KubeCon Chicago. Let me share the meeting agenda in our chat box. I will post a link. So if you have any topics, you can still add those topics to the agenda. I actually added 2 topics to today's agenda. One is for our regular issue triage for our CLI repo, and another one is to propose having a regular rotation mechanism for our community meeting moderator. I just posted the link in our chat box. While we're waiting for others, so Kyle, as you are new to ORAS community meetings, but you have been actively contributing to ORAS Go project in the past 2 months. So I'm thinking, Kyle, if you are able to introduce yourself in this meeting.
Yeah, I'm Kyle Tarpley. I work for the University of Dayton Research Institute, and I use Crane and ORAS and other libraries that interact with registries. We're switching some code over to ORAS right now, which is why you're seeing me be a little more active bug hunting in ORAS as we see things that that don't work the way we expect. Forgot to lock my door. One of my kids just tried to come in. We're working on storing all sorts of different types of things, different artifacts, not images necessarily, and working on mirroring techniques and things of that nature. So that's me.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I know it's 7 p.m. in your local time zone, right? It's a little bit late for you. I'm really glad that you could join us out of your working hours. Sorry, how do you pronounce your first name? Is Kyle or Car?
Kyle.
Kyle, okay. I think
Yeah,
I'm
Kyle
pronouncing
Tarpley.
right. Actually, Sylvia, Shui, and Terry are the maintainers for ORAS Go project. I think you have been collaborated closely in the GitHub repository in the community.
Yes. Hello, Kyle.
Okay, so I will share my screen and continue to kick off today's meeting. Let me know if you can see my screen. I'm hanging out at the ORAS meeting agenda, and we have 2 meeting items here. Okay, so I think I can first talking about the second agenda item is regarding the proposal to have a regular rotation mechanism for our community meeting moderator. So as you may know that I have been running this meeting for more than half a year. So I'm thinking we will need more active maintainers to help run this meeting and playing as a role for meeting moderator. And from the ORAS governance guide, ORAS maintainers and also the org level maintainers are welcome to pick somebody from community to be the moderator, or themselves can be qualified to become the moderator. So I'm encourage people from the community, especially our org level maintainers and project maintainers, can share their willingness to become a meeting moderator. I think in general, the role is to prepare for the meeting agenda, remind people about this meeting, and take notes for every meeting. If you are interested in taking up this role, I think you can share it with us in community or talk to me. I think I can hand it over to you for the future meetings. And I think we can have maybe monthly based rotation mechanism or rotation cadence for this role. Any ideas or suggestions for this proposal? I think my major intention is to avoid making people feel that these community meetings are dominated by a single voice. You know, we are a CNCF sandbox project, so we would like to see more diversity and engagement from our community, especially from our maintainers.
You do a great job.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. I think we can find more active and enthusiastic meeting moderators for our future meetings from the maintainers.
So how are we going to do this, I guess? Is there going to be a sign up, or are we just going to rotate through people?
I think we don't need to sign anything, any agreements before anyone applying for becoming a meeting moderator. I think what we need to do is to list the regular meeting moderators on this meeting document or in our community repository to make sure everybody know that those are the selected meeting chairs or meeting moderators for our community meetings. Just make things public. And I think every maintainer can submit their application while GitHub issues or just post it in our Teams chat, in our meeting chat or Slack chat. I think the basic criteria is that we encourage maintainers instead of random contributors to apply for this role, since we expect people who are quite familiar with the with ORAS community and the project itself. I think I can create a GitHub discussion to gather willingness and ideas from the community. And so people, especially for ORAS maintainers and org level owners, can share their willingness in applying for a meeting moderator. And also for the rotation cadence, I think we can also discuss there. It's just my initial proposal to share in this meeting. Okay, I think we can back to the first agenda items. The first agenda is request to triage ORAS issues. I recently added a workflow to add triage labels to new issues. OKCE, hands up, please.
Yeah, I think Kali just introduced himself and he joined this meeting. So maybe Kyle, you have something you want to discuss, PRs or issues? Maybe we can prioritize that. If you have anything you want to discuss, we can. Maybe we can prioritize that. Yeah.
I'm biased. I want to discuss the stuff that I'm working on, right? So, it sounds like there's a couple easy ones like 634 is the easiest one that's been proposed. That change. So I made it so that the error skip desk was exported so that we can in a pre-copy hook we can signal that we want to skip. That's been used internally. I just made it exported so that that's the simplest way that we can do mounting. But it was brought up in this issue, and they're totally right that it's not an error, so we shouldn't put ERR in front of it. We should probably call it skip desk, or I think we should call it skip descriptor or skip node. Once that's decided upon, then this work can actually start by somebody. It's just a find and replace. It's a trivial change, obviously.
You mean 634, this issue, right?
That one, yeah. It's a small issue. Like,
yeah, we can prioritize this discussion since I know you made job earlier since it's a little bit late for your time zone. Then
yeah,
we
Feynman,
can
you scroll down a little bit? Yeah, I think there has been some discussions. Oh, okay. Skip node.
So I don't know if there's any consensus on what the name should be. Skip descriptor and skip node are the two top contenders, I think. But it all depends on whether you guys, what the word node means within ORAS, if I'm interpreting it right. I think of a descriptor as just a pointer to data. You're skipping a pointer, and that's not really what you mean. You really mean you're skipping the node, the part of the graph, the vertex, but you don't use the word vertex anymore.
Yes, skip node makes sense in the copy context. But yeah, maybe we can check this offline.
Yes, and that's fine.
Yeah, skip node also sound to me because we are actually copying the graph, so we are copying the node to node. So skipping the node sounds a good idea.
Okay. Um, the other one that I'm interested in talking about, I mean, so it sounds like there's agreement. So someone needs to vote on the skip node one. Say, yep, we like that one better, right? Put your comments in that issue. That one actually is interesting. So maybe that one's useful to talk about, the one you were just looking at, the registry.k8s.io. That's a legitimate bug.
This one, right?
This one I believe is a bug. So if you run that command, even on main of ORAS with the latest ORAS Go, you get that error. And the idea is, what happens is we never check content type. So we're decoding JSON, but we forget to check that it's actually application/JSON first. Or actually, sorry, it's not JSON. It's actually an index. So this is the cases you hit the refers API, and for example, this registries.k8s.io, not a very unknown registry, pretty important registry, right? Returns, when you hit /refers, it returns a login page. Actually, what it does is it returns like a 307, and then that takes you to a login page, which is obviously not the right behavior. Like, that's not a refers API. However, that login page is a 200. And so ORAS thinks, oh, 200 refers works, and then tries to parse the HTML and as JSON and barfs. And then that's fatal. That brings the whole ship down. When in reality, it just needs to decide, nope, that's not the refers API we're looking at. That is something else. It doesn't work as expected. So fall back to the tag based API. There's a merge or pull request in here that I made that tries this out, and all the tests pass. But it's just one approach to solving this problem.
Has the registry.kubernetes.io already support the refers API?
No, they don't. This issue is that some registries does not support the refer API, returning some weird response. For example, this one returns 200, but it's not really implement the refer API. So we need to detect whether a registry really implements the refer API by looking at the but not only look at the state code, but also look at their content type. If you scroll down a bit, I have a comment in this issue. So currently, our ORAS Go implements the distribution spec as 1.1.0 RC3. At that time, there's no spec on checking the content type, but later in the main branch of the distribution spec, it has a spec saying that the content type must be set to the image index media type. So I think it's reasonable, and it can solve the real problem. So I think we can fix that in the next milestone.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So you guys are okay with the approach, it sounds like.
Yes, because it's
it
defined
matches
in the spec,
which is good.
Yes, and also we need to check the existing registries like Harvard, ACR, and other they have already implemented the refer API and see whether they conform to the latest spec or not.
So
If they are
I've
not, then
verified Harbor and Zot. They both set the
Okay.
content type correctly.
yeah. Okay,
So I
that's
think we
good.
should be good. Those are the only ones I know of that implement the refers. I guess there's your container registry does, but I haven't checked that one.
Yeah, good. And Sylvia, can you verify other registries?
Yeah, I know ACR also returns the correct content type.
Okay, that's cool. Then I think once we fix the PR comments, we can merge it.
How about ECR?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so for this PR, which milestone do you want to include? Is for ORAS 2.4, or we want to propose a patch release to include these fix?
So Terry, can you verify if ECR has this or not?
Sure thing. Yep.
Yes, and can you also comment in the issue so we can decide? But since our next release will be a minor release that's 2.4, I think it can be included in that release because it's a minor change. It's not a patch release change. And anyone else has any ideas?
I think that sounds good. I can keep working on this one. I'll look at those comments.
Okay, so let's keep it as 2.4 milestone, and we will not change the scope right now. Anything else from your side, Cal?
No, I mean the only other thing I'm maybe I need to go check is that cross repository blob mount support. So we implemented the bare minimum, which is that error skip desk, which is going to turn into skip node, I believe. But there's a lot of discussion on this one, different approaches, different techniques, all good. The last comment I made, I think this morning, I think it's the last one. Unless someone added something to it, let me look. Yeah, so scroll down to the very bottom. Keep going.
Which place you wanna hang out?
Yeah, just keep going. You're almost there. Get all the way to the bottom. Oh no, you're not almost there. Actually, there's a lot.
Yeah, it's very long thread.
Yeah.
Can you post the comment link so I can direct
Just scroll all the way down. It's at the very bottom. just grab it and go all the way down.
Do you want to scroll down to the latest discussion?
Yes,
Okay, so I will scroll down, scroll to the bottom.
to the bottom.
Here.
Almost there. There you go.
Yeah.
So that comment, basically the idea is if you're going from a given source to a destination, same registry, obviously, otherwise cross-repository blob mount doesn't make any sense. For a given source and a given destination namespace or repository, if you want to use that term, if you try a mount on the repository and it fails, is it safe to assume that you should not try it again? In other words, you might have 100 blobs in some image that in some graph you're sending over. You wouldn't want to try a mount for every single one, right? Once one of these things fails, you say, maybe this repository doesn't support this, and let's just not try it again. It saves us a round trip per blob at that point. So I wanted to see if there's any thoughts on that. This point hadn't come up in the discussion yet. And then I guess things can fail for lots of reasons. So we have to be careful about what constitutes the mount not working. But I think yeah, so there is a bare minimum implementation of this in that pull request that I made, that 632, that draft. It's not ready for, but it works. So if you look at the code, you can see there's a function called with mount that implements this functionality by basically wrapping pre-copy and being careful about what it's doing. There's one other change I had to make into the code, which is this get content had to return I had to be able to return from get content a error unsupported, basically a different type of error, so that I could say that I want you to do the default get content behavior. This makes it so that my with mount command, I don't have to have the source repository like the actual target ORAS.target. I can have less arguments, less dependencies for this particular thing. So this is different than all the other ones that have been proposed. I think there's lots of ways of solving this problem. This is one that I've tried out and I'm using in my code base.
Yeah, thanks, Carl, for the options. Sorry, we haven't got chance to take a closer look into this yet. Yeah, I hope we can check this week. And the
that sounds good. I'm not trying to be pushy. You guys asked me which ones I think are important, and those are the ones I'm working on. I'm biased, like I said. So
yeah, I think the optimization sounds good to me. It's like caching the status of the mount API support. It's kind of similar to what we do for the refers API.
I'm thinking that if one layer cannot be mounted, that it does not mean that other layers cannot, right? For example, if some image shared common layers, then maybe those common layers can be uploaded I mean mounted, but for some new layers it cannot be mounted.
Is there a special status code in the spec that explicitly indicating if the mount API is supported or not?
No, there's no API to check whether mount is supported or not. But here is that even if the mount API is failed, it won't cause additional round trips to the server. So basically, the number of requests using mount and fails, and comparing other like not using mount API, they have the same number of requests. Basically, the performance will not be slowed down. That's actually how the spec says how to let the mount API to be backward compatible.
So let me just kind of say that again. So what you're saying is that the remote.repository mount method, I need to look at that more carefully, but it only does in either case, whether you're doing a mount or whether you're doing an actual copy, it does exactly one request to the target repository.
Yes. So
Okay.
so basically, so if you copy it, then you have two requests. The first one is the post request, right? The second is the put. So basically, you post saying, "Okay, I'm starting uploading," and then the final put is saying, "Okay, I'm done. I commit the upload." For mount is that it also got the first post request, but this time you have the mount parameters. So if the server supports mounting and the layer exists, then it's mounted. It will give you I can't remember the state code, but it will give you a successful state code and saying, okay, it's created. Okay, if the layer does not exist or the server does not support mount, it will return the same thing as you do a normal post for blob upload.
Okay.
So in that case, yeah. So in that case, we just upload it and using a put, and it should be just done. So that's why in the mount API we have a get content. That's for the fallback.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Also kind of sheds light on why it was designed that way. So that helps. So that means, yeah, so for my comment, then that's moot. There's no reason to cache that information because there's no benefit in doing so. So that's cool. That's good. That simplifies things.
Okay, so I think we finished the topics, the discussion proposed from Kyle, right? Anything else, Kyle? Cool. Really appreciate your continuous contribution to ORAS Go and being active in the community. Okay, so back to our agenda. So let's continue to trash ORAS CI issues since we have already finished the ORAS Go issues. As I mentioned that we added a workflow to automatically add the trash labels to all of those new issues before we trashing them. So if we click on the trash label, it will filter out all of those issues that we need to trash in the community. How about we start from the old one? We have 8 issues marked as trash labels, which means we need to trash them and decide which milestone should we put those issues in. If there's no concerns, I think we can start from the oldest one. It was opened by me last week. This issue is intended to provide a CLI error handling guideline in order to improve the error messages and standardize the error handling logics, especially for those unfriendly or very vague error messages in the ORA CLI output. So actually, we have seen there are a lot of issues and PRs submitted by ORAS maintainers, which are fixing some known ORAS CLI outputs and error messages, like these 3 issues. And thanks to Sajay, who raised those PRs to fix some very obvious error message, unfriendly error messages, and make it much more straightforward and friendly to end users. So I think in order to make sure we have very standard and structured error messages, I think we will need to revisit the existing error messages and also provide a guideline for our future error messages in order to make sure all of those are following a unified or a standard guideline and have a structured outputs for different scenarios. And I actually have had a draft PR for this issue, and I would like to prioritize the issue in v1.2 and start the first round of review for those existing error messages and improve those error messages in v1.2. Any concerns on marking these as v1.2? If not, I think we can remove trash item and leave it in v1.2 milestone. And I will continue to work on this draft PR to polish this error message guideline and make sure we have enough error message examples, improvement examples in that doc, and it could be a general reference for our future error messages and error handling logics. I will leave some typical scenarios for the error messages and some suggestions, recommendations for how can we write structured error messages. Okay, I don't see any further concerns on that, so let's continue. This issue is asking for supporting customizing file name in ORAS pool. Actually, users can use ORAS pool to pull the artifacts and referrals from the registry. But as you can see, the current experience does not allow users to specify the file name that they pulled from the remote registry to their local file system. If there are a lot of layers, or if they pull multiple artifacts to the local, then it might be very hard for users to find where's their pulled content in their local file system. So I think this issue is to request support customizing file name for ORAS pull command, so that users can give file names to whatever a single layer or multiple layers they pulled from the remote registry, and they can give name when they pull the content from remote to their local. I think defining the single layer scenario is straightforward. Defining the experience for single layer is very straightforward, but it might be a little bit hard to consider how can we design the flags or the desired experience for the content if they have multi-layers. But this is a pain point for users. I'm thinking we can mark it as maybe V1.3. We don't have that milestone yet, but currently it is in the future milestone.
Let's create the milestone.
Sorry, Sajay.
Let's go ahead and create the milestone if it's not there.
Yeah. If we agree that this should be the next milestone, I think we can create V1.3 and add it to the V1.3 milestone. For V1.2, I'm not sure we can catch the bus this time since we have only around 1 month before V1.2 release. Any ideas from other maintainers regarding this issue?
Can you also, I think there is a Docker Composer maintainer who raised this issue before. I think for this issue, to resolve this issue like correctly, we need a real user scenario. For example, a Helm chart only have one layer, and even if user like pull the Helm chart by ORAS pull, they cannot they still need to unzip the table. So if we want to like support ORAS pull with one layer correctly, we still need like a valid use case. Yes, valid use case. I think there's.
Please, Billy.
Yeah. So I think the Docker Compose maintainer, one of the Docker Compose maintainer, raised this issue before. Maybe we can talk to them to see what do they need exactly via ORAS.
Can you help find that issue and link related issue in this under this issue, so we can think about how can we resolve this one to cover both scenarios. I'm not sure if this one is duplicated with that one.
Yeah, sure. I'll comment on this issue.
Yeah, since this is not a tiny enhancement, we still need feature spec to define the scenario and the desired experience. So I would suggest that we mark it as V1.3. We can create a new milestone for us before V2.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm still wondering, so what's the purpose of this issue?
So when I think this was one of the feedback from Toddy, right? Basically being able to upload a simple file and download something like a README doc using ORAS is hard because the file name is kind of in the manifest, and getting that file name out to do something or customizing that single, like basically it's a scripting scenario here again. So an ability to download a single file layer with an SBOM with the file name was necessary. I think Toddy was trying to attach a trivia report or like upload a trivia report and use that trivia as a to use that trivia download to kind of like use it in the next pipeline. So basically some kind of composition of the output file was necessary. And right now it's there, but you need to look at the directories, or you need to kind of like grep through the outputs and things like that. But if it's a single file, can we just take a parameter that would enable us to download that file is what the request was.
Okay, I see. Then that's definitely in 1.3. It's not possible in 1.2.
No, that's fine. I'm not worried about the milestone. It's more in the sense of can
Yeah.
we in Aura's pool just support an argument that would put the file where the user is asking it to?
Yes, I think it's doable. And if it's multi-layer, we can just have an arrow saying
Yep.
that it's a multiple layer. You cannot use this flag.
Yeah. And for special tools like Helm and notation and all that, I was suggesting that we recommend looking at the media type and using the tool associated with that media type rather than using auras in that case. Because there are many scenarios that maybe this might be just a hack.
Yeah, I think we can differentiate different media types or different artifact types for the pooled content. For Helm chart, it's a little bit different for other OCI images. And for multi-layer scenario, it's also a little bit hard. And we still need further investigation on how can we define the desired experience for defining the file name if the content has multiple layers. So I think we will mark this item as V1.3 and prepare the feature spec after we finish the V1.2. Let's create a new milestone for Aura CLI V1.3 and move this from future to V1.3. Okay, if there's no concerns on this issue, I think we can move on. PD, I remember you have supported this user's request and replied to his question. Would you want to quickly explain what the major issue from this side? Should it be a bug or a feature request?
In our latest discussion, the user is trying to request for a feature. So in which like the user is trying to the problem user met is he had a credential of GitHub GHCR registry and a GitHub container registry, and he logged in and he somehow regenerated the token and invalidated the old one, and then when he was trying to pull from a public container public GitHub container registry, the pull fails. So basically, he wanted a feature to ignore the current credential stored in the credential store and retry, do a best effort retry if the registry is publicly accessible. So that's the feature request, and I have provided several workaround for him. For example, I mentioned that if the registry is publicly accessible, it should be a user context, and user can provide a empty or non-existent config file to force ignoring the credential stored in credential store, local credential store. Anyone have any question?
No, I don't have any questions about that, but I think that I don't think we should support this scenario because not all the registries are having the anonymous pool enabled, and also it also confuses a lot because you may see that your credential can work on some repositories and cannot work on other repository, but indeed your credential is wrong. In that case, users may be confused. So I don't think it's a supported scenario. And I think should be by design that we should not retry an anonymous pool for any auth failures.
Yeah, yes, I agree. So basically, try as a anonymous pool should be a user side configuration. And currently we can bypass, we can like work around it by forcing a empty or non-existent config file. And maybe we can improve that kind of user experience, but I don't think it's it's in our scope that we should automatically retry when we met like fall through.
Yes. So I know Kubernetes has this this pattern that it always try the anonymous pool first, and then the pool with credentials. That pattern works, but it has cost. That means for a private registry, you always send 2 requests to the remote server for pulling 1 image. That's actually double the request, the number of requests.
Mhm.
How will the performance cost impact the user experience if we send 2 requests to private registry? I'm thinking these issues, this user's request is sounds valid since the registry has enabled anonymous pool, anonymous pool, and it supports pulling from, and I believe Docker supports pulling from a public registry without any credentials, right?
No, that's not right. So first thing is that Kubernetes does that. It's not because they are designed to do so, because it's a workaround. They have no other workaround. That's the only workaround. That's to send 2 requests. That's the workaround. Otherwise, they have to make a lot of changes, and it's not sustainable. That's why they have a workaround to send 2 requests. For Docker, Docker behave the same as today we have for ORAS. That is, if you have a bad credential that you are trying to pull from a private repo of the Docker Hub, yes, if your credential is wrong, then you will fail. Even if the repo itself is public, it will not retry with anonymous pool. So basically, currently, the ORAS behaves the same as Docker.
Yeah, I'm not sure falling back to anonymous and trying again because of an expired path is a. I think it's very. Yeah, I'm not sure. Why should we do this one? It's not. Is not the question. I think is it. This is an expired path, right?
Expired token, right?
Right, and it's going against an anonymous repository. It's funny we discussed this in the working group for OCI, where what is the expected behavior if your repository is anonymous and you come with a token that is incorrect? That's kind of the equivalent of this, expired or not. So potentially it is. Should we honor it, or should we kind of like because the registries have different implementations depending on what they want. Why don't we open an issue on the distribution spec?
I mean, in the
Should that be the distribution spec or the auth?
It's
Group.
supposed to be in the auth working group. I think Sylvia's already done a doc for that. We should at least decide, because it would be nice if the registry just figured out, hey, this is anonymous, this path is not consequential, but throttling and other quotas actually apply, right? So there's a problem there. Instead of clients having to go back and try with a different credential, should the registry support it? But why are we talking about repository level auth provider, by the way? I didn't get that part, sorry.
since this is an issue, this is an issue raised from a user, an end user. So we want to differentiate if this could be a enhancement or it's just a pure question.
I see. No, because if you have a wrong path that you're providing, that could happen. The same problem could happen, like even if you have a single repository, this thing could happen, right? Forget from a different repository. So I'm not sure why the repository level auth provider would be a suggestion here.
The user mentioned a different use case that he might want to use the stored credential to access one repository and access another one, another repository anonymously.
Okay, it's a hypothetical case, but it's not something that they're doing, right?
I think that this case is also mentioned in this issue, but it's not what we're focusing on.
I'm just reading the title of the issue, and I feel like all these combinations can be very complicated, and that's the whole reason why we have the auth group for OCI, because a lot of these are edge cases. My thinking is, if it's an expired path, clients are not supposed to parse the path. Clients are not supposed to know anything. They are free to try without a path if they want to, but I don't think clients SDK behaviors of falling back to use different credentials to brute force and try seems like a yeah, we'll end up in a very similar place, like try authentication, try unauthenticated, and then go fall back kind of a thing. Yeah, I'm not certain whether we can fix anything here.
Instead of automatically fall back to the credential stored checking, how about proposing a flag that allows users to anonymous pull the content from the remote registry, especially for the public registry? I think in this case, users already know that this is a public registry, and it enabled the anonymous pull access.
Right, but the point is, this is because of the path being expired. It still doesn't solve that. So if you accidentally configure it, you could still end up with this problem. We're not fixing the root cause of the bug, is what I'm saying. We're kind of like suggesting solutions that user can try, but if they have an expired path and they go against a repository, it's still going to fail. Because I don't think GitHub will, or GHCR, I'm guessing this is GHCR. Yeah, GitHub is not going to maybe allow you to use an expired path because the throttles won't work. They do throttle the amount of egress and all that. The same problem might happen with another registry. I think it'll happen with ACR and ECR. I'm not sure. But going with incorrect credentials to a registry and expecting it to work seems to be the case that is not documented anywhere.
Yeah, I see Terry has commented that he also votes for a no fallback mechanism for expelled token. So I think at least we can we agree that we will not do any automatic fallback for expelled token, but let's look how can we better support this user request.
The issue title needs to be fixed first of all, if this is the case, right? It's not about you will get a 403 on an incorrect path or an expired path. I think that's fine.
If the user log out, I think the expelled credential will be removed. So this issue will also be resolved in your workaround.
Yeah. Does GitHub give a proper error saying that your path is expired? Or no?
Billy, do you remember any error logs he mentioned here?
You can look at the log provided by user. Yeah, just scroll right. The last line should provide the last line should provide detailed error message. No, it's just deny.
It's
in the body.
Very general error message. But this is a server log.
Yeah, I don't think we should do anything here. It's a tough one.
Okay. We are 2 minutes over time, so I think we still have 6 issues, which are 4 issues which are not trashed yet. I think we can trash those issues offline and comment on those issues after this meeting. But we need to remove the trash labels for those issues that we already trashed in this meeting. So for this issue, I think there's no enhancement or any further plans on this one. Okay, so let's continue to trash the remaining issues offline. I will stop my sharing, and I think we are good to end up today's meeting. Any questions from maintainers?
Thank you.
If not, nope. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.